There is a small island nation in Europe that many people describe as one of the most tourist-heavy destinations in the world. Despite its tiny size, it attracts visitors throughout the entire year and often feels far more crowded than one might expect. On the map, it appears as little more than a dot in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea. That country is Malta. Covering only about 316 square kilometers, Malta is remarkably small. Yet, it is home to roughly 600,000 permanent residents, making it one of the most densely populated countries in Europe. As a member of the European Union, it is a place many people have at least heard of, even if they don't know much about it. Because Malta is an island nation, it does not share land borders with any other country. All international travel takes place either by air or by sea. One of the reasons Malta is so accessible to tourists is its language. The official language is Maltese, but English also holds official status. This makes communication easy for most visitors, and there is usually no need to learn the local language in advance. This linguistic advantage, combined with its warm climate and rich history, makes Malta especially attractive to travelers. Even during the coldest months, such as January and February, the weather remains relatively mild. Average temperatures hover around 15 degrees Celsius, and sunny days are common. Thanks to its Mediterranean location, Malta enjoys pleasant weather for most of the year. As the sun rises, the island slowly comes to life. Early in the morning, you will find locals heading to work, while tourists begin exploring the quiet streets before the crowds arrive. Morning hours are often reserved for calm activities. Many people go for walks or jogs along the coastline, while others take their dogs out. In public spaces, you'll often notice signs reminding pet owners to clean up after their animals. Despite it being winter, some individuals still head down to the sea. Malta's coastline, particularly around Valletta, is mostly rocky rather than sandy. Instead of beaches, there are limestone cliffs and flat rock surfaces where people sunbathe. Access to the water is usually provided by metal ladders attached to the rocks. It may seem unusual at first, but this setup is entirely normal for locals. Besides swimming, these areas are used for socializing, relaxing, and even playing games near the sea. Another common sight in the morning is older men fishing along the coast. Most of them are not commercial fishermen, but rather individuals catching fish for personal use. Malta's connection to the Mediterranean diet is also notable. Fish plays a significant role in local cuisine, and this diet is often associated with longevity. Many people in the region live well into their 80s, and their lifestyle, combined with diet, may be a contributing factor. If you are looking for peace and quiet, the early morning is the best time to experience Malta. Cafes are calm, streets are less crowded, and the atmosphere feels relaxed. However, as midday approaches, everything changes. The number of tourists increases significantly, traffic becomes heavier, and the streets grow louder. Traffic is one of the biggest challenges in Malta. Despite its small size, the country has an extremely high number of vehicles. By 2025, there are estimated to be over 450,000 cars on the island. This means that a large portion of the population owns a vehicle. On top of that, many tourists rent cars, adding further pressure to the roads. Although you can technically drive across the island in about an hour, traffic congestion often makes this difficult. Finding parking can also be frustrating. Streets are narrow, and improper parking can easily result in fines. Because of this, having a private parking space is considered a valuable asset and even a status symbol. Public transportation exists, but it has its limitations. Malta does not have a metro or tram system, largely due to its geological structure. The island is built on hard limestone, making underground construction both difficult and risky for historical buildings. Instead, transportation relies on buses and ferries. Ferries are particularly useful, connecting different parts of the island and offering scenic views along the way. Residents can use public transport for free, but tourists must purchase travel cards. Despite this, many locals still prefer using private cars due to the perceived inefficiency of public systems. Exploring Valletta during the afternoon reveals a city full of character. The streets are narrow, often consisting of single lanes and sharp turns. While traffic may be frustrating, the architecture more than makes up for it. The city is filled with limestone buildings, colorful wooden balconies, and winding alleyways that feel like stepping back in time. Valletta itself has a rich history. It was founded in 1566 by the Knights of St. John as a fortified city. Its purpose was to defend the island. Walking through the city, you'll notice the distinctive yellowish limestone buildings. Balconies are often painted in bright colors, adding vibrancy to the streets. Decorations such as plants and ornaments are common, especially in narrow alleys where buildings stand close together. These charming streets often resemble postcards. However, Malta is not known for greenery. In fact, it has one of the lowest percentages of green space in Europe. Instead of parks and forests, the landscape is dominated by stone structures and the surrounding sea. Malta is also culturally diverse. You'll encounter people from Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Middle East. The Maltese population itself reflects a blend of influences. Physically, many locals resemble Southern Europeans and Middle Eastern populations, with darker hair and olive skin tones. This diversity contributes to the island's unique identity. Due to its small size, getting lost in Malta is unlikely. Even tourists visiting for just a few days quickly become familiar with the layout. Locals often recognize each other, creating a close-knit social environment. However, this small scale can also feel limiting. Some residents describe living in Malta as feeling confined, like being in an open-air prison. Over time, the charm that fascinates visitors can become ordinary for locals. The lack of space and constant presence of tourists can reduce privacy and create a sense of monotony. Housing is another issue. Limited land and high demand have driven up prices, making it difficult for average people to buy property. Rent can be expensive, often reaching around €1,000 per month for a modest apartment. As a result, many young adults continue living with their families well into their late 20s or 30s. Others choose to rent single rooms rather than entire apartments. Economically, Malta relies heavily on tourism and education. The country is home to numerous language schools, attracting tens of thousands of students each year. Many of these students come to learn English, contributing to a youthful and international atmosphere. At night, Malta transforms into a lively social hub. The nightlife is one of its biggest attractions, especially for younger visitors. One of the most famous areas is Paceville, located near Valletta. This district is filled with clubs, bars, and bright lights. Nightlife in Malta is energetic and fast-paced. Clubs are close together, allowing people to move easily between venues. The crowd is typically young, mostly between 18 and 30 years old. Music, dancing, and alcohol are central to the experience. However, nightlife also has downsides. Overcrowding and excessive drinking can lead to issues such as theft, harassment, and disorderly behavior. Some venues offer very cheap alcohol, which may not always be of high quality. While the environment is generally safe, visitors are advised to remain cautious. Even outside of clubs, people enjoy late-night walks and socializing. The streets are well lit, and it is common to see groups of friends out until late. However, narrow sidewalks and heavy traffic can make walking uncomfortable. Winter nights can be chilly, with temperatures dropping to around 5 to 6 degrees Celsius. After midnight, people begin heading home, often using buses or ferries if they don't have cars. In many ways, Malta offers a unique lifestyle. It is a warm, safe, and culturally rich destination with stunning architecture and a vibrant social scene. At the same time, it presents challenges such as high living costs, heavy traffic, and limited space. For visitors, Malta often feels like something out of a postcard, a place where history, sunshine, and the sea blend together effortlessly. From the moment tourists arrive, they are greeted by warm weather, golden limestone buildings, and views of deep blue water stretching in every direction. The island's charm is immediate and powerful. Whether wandering through the narrow streets of Valletta or relaxing by the rocky coastline, it is easy to understand why so many people fall in love with Malta at first sight. The country offers a unique mix of cultural influences shaped by centuries of history. Visitors can explore ancient fortifications, churches, and palaces that reflect Malta's strategic importance in the Mediterranean. Landmarks built by the Knights of St. John still stand proudly, telling stories of battles, trade, and survival. Every street seems to carry a sense of the past, giving tourists the feeling that they are walking through a living museum. Beyond its historical appeal, Malta also offers a relaxed and enjoyable lifestyle, at least from a visitor's perspective. The mild climate makes it possible to enjoy outdoor activities nearly all year round. Even during winter, the weather remains comfortable enough for sightseeing, dining outdoors, or simply strolling along the coast. The sea is always nearby, and its presence adds a sense of calm and beauty to everyday experiences. However, this same vibrancy can feel very different for those who live there permanently. What appears lively and energetic to tourists can feel overwhelming and exhausting to residents. The constant flow of visitors means that the island is rarely quiet, especially in popular areas. Streets that seem charming to newcomers can feel crowded and congested to locals, who navigate them every day. One of the most significant challenges for residents is the limited space. Malta is extremely small, and this affects nearly every aspect of life. There are only so many places to go, and after a while, everything begins to feel familiar. For tourists, this small size is convenient. It allows them to explore much of the country in just a few days. But for locals, it can create a sense of confinement. The inability to easily escape to a different city or region can lead to feelings of monotony. Traffic is another major issue that highlights the difference between tourist and resident experiences. Visitors may notice busy roads, but they often don't fully experience the daily frustration that locals face. With a high number of vehicles packed into such a small area, congestion is common. Simple journeys can take much longer than expected, and finding parking can be a constant struggle. Over time, this becomes a source of stress for those who live and work on the island. Housing is perhaps the most serious concern for residents. The demand for living space far exceeds supply, leading to high rental prices and limited availability. While tourists may enjoy short-term stays in hotels or rented apartments, locals must deal with long-term affordability issues. Many young people find it difficult to move out of their family homes because renting or buying property is simply too expensive. This can delay independence and create additional pressure on individuals and families. Another aspect that differs between tourists and residents is the perception of beauty. For visitors, Malta's architecture and landscapes are endlessly fascinating. The limestone buildings, colorful balconies, and historic streets create a unique visual identity that feels special and memorable. But for locals, this environment becomes part of everyday life. Over time, the sense of wonder can fade, replaced by familiarity. What once seemed extraordinary becomes ordinary. The social environment also has its complexities. Malta's small population means that communities are tightly connected. While this can create a strong sense of belonging, it can also feel limiting. People often know each other, directly or indirectly, which can reduce privacy. For some, This close-knit structure is comforting. For others, it can feel restrictive, as if there is little room to remain anonymous or start fresh. Even the island's popularity as a tourist destination contributes to this contrast. Tourism supports the economy and creates jobs, but it also brings challenges. Overcrowding, noise, and increased demand for resources can affect the quality of life for residents. Public spaces that might otherwise feel peaceful are often filled with visitors. This constant activity can make it difficult for locals to find quiet moments or personal space. Despite these challenges, Malta is not without its advantages for residents. It remains a relatively safe country, and its warm climate is a major benefit. The sea, the culture, and the strong sense of community all contribute to a lifestyle that many people still appreciate. However, these positives exist alongside the pressures of limited space, high costs, and constant tourism. In the end, Malta presents two very different realities depending on perspective. For tourists, it is a vibrant, beautiful, and exciting destination, a place full of history, sunshine, and unforgettable experiences. For residents, it is a home with both comforts and constraints, a place where beauty and frustration exist side by side. This contrast is what makes Malta so fascinating. It is not simply a paradise or a problem, but a complex blend of both. Its appeal lies not only in what it offers, but also in the different ways it is experienced. For those who visit, it may feel like a dream. For those who stay, it is a place of everyday life, with all the challenges and rewards that come with it.